The sun was setting on the shores of Varlov, casting an orange glow across the water. Lucas, a young human explorer, had been marooned on the alien planet for several days after a routine mission went wrong. His ship had broken down, leaving him stranded in this beautiful yet foreign world. He had managed to gather some supplies and make do, but the isolation weighed heavily on him. As he wandered along the rocky coastline, something caught his eye in the distance. He paused, squinting into the distance where the sea met the shore. At first, he thought it was a strange rock formation, but as the waves receded, he realized it was something, or someone, being dragged under by the current. Without thinking, Lucas ran toward the water, his heart pounding in his chest. As he got closer, he could see the shape of a figure struggling against the waves. It was a woman, her long, flowing hair bright against the dark water, her limbs thrashing in an attempt to stay afloat. Her skin had a soft blue tint, and her eyes, when they opened for a brief moment, flashed a bright violet before she disappeared under the next wave. Without hesitation, Lucas dove into the water, swimming toward her. The cold shock of the ocean sent a jolt through his body, but he focused on the woman. He wasn't a trained swimmer, but his instincts took over. He fought against the waves, his muscles burning as he reached her. When he finally grabbed hold of her, he was relieved to find that she was still alive. Though barely conscious, she was heavier than he expected, her alien body resisting the pull of the current. Struggling to stay afloat, Lucas clung to her and began kicking toward the shore. The journey back to land felt like an eternity. Every wave seemed to drag them back, but Lucas pushed forward, his arms sore, his lungs aching. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he reached the shore and managed to drag her out of the water, his body collapsing beside her as exhaustion hit. He panted, his hands on his knees as he took in the sight of the alien woman. Her pale blue skin shimmered in the fading light, and her breathing was shallow, but she was alive. She had long, silver hair that trailed behind her in the water, and her clothes were strange but elegant, glistening with some sort of metallic fabric. She looked otherworldly, and Lucas couldn't help but stare in awe. He quickly checked for any visible injuries but found none. He then gently tilted her head back and started performing CPR, his heart racing. After a few moments, she coughed up water, gasping for air. Her violet eyes fluttered open, locking onto his with confusion and surprise. "You're safe," Lucas said, his voice soft but steady. "I've got you." Her gaze seemed to soften, though she couldn't find the strength to speak. Instead, she simply blinked, her eyes searching his face as if trying to make sense of what had just happened. Lucas smiled at her, offering a comforting, reassuring look. But inside, his mind was racing. He had just rescued an alien, someone from another world. And now he couldn't help but wonder who she was, and what had brought her to this planet. The alien woman slowly regained her strength as Lucas continued to watch over her. She was still disoriented, but her breathing had steadied. She tried to sit up, but the effort seemed too much. Lucas gently placed a hand on her shoulder, helping her stay down on the soft sand. "Take it easy," he said, his voice calm. "You're safe now. You're on land." Her violet eyes flickered, trying to focus on him. She blinked several times, her expression a mix of confusion and curiosity. For a moment, she said nothing, just watching Lucas as if unsure whether she could trust him. "I'm Lucas," he said, offering a reassuring smile. "I know you must be confused, but I'm not going to hurt you." She took a shallow breath. Her lips parted as she attempted to speak. Her voice was soft but melodic, a strange alien tone that Lucas couldn't quite place. "Who are you?" Lucas hesitated, unsure of how to explain. "I'm a human," he replied, trying to keep his explanation simple. "I was stranded here after my ship malfunctioned. I found you in the water. I couldn't just leave you." She looked at him again, her eyes scanning his face, perhaps searching for any sign of deception. But Lucas knew he wasn't lying. He had simply acted on instinct, the desire to save a life overpowering any thoughts of fear or hesitation. The alien woman took another deep breath, slowly pushing herself into a sitting position. I was. She paused, as though struggling to remember what had happened. The storm. I lost control. My ship crashed. I thought I was going to die. Her voice was shaky, but Lucas could see that she was trying to hold herself together. The storm she mentioned explained everything. She had been caught in the same weather system that had nearly destroyed his own ship. He had no idea how long she had been struggling in the water, but it was clear that she had been on the verge of death when he had found her. "You're safe now," Lucas repeated, giving her an encouraging nod. "It's okay. You're not alone anymore." The woman seemed to take comfort in his words, though she still looked uncertain. Her gaze drifted to the ocean, then back to Lucas. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice filled with a mix of gratitude and awe. I thought I was alone. I couldn't just leave you out there," Lucas replied with a shrug. "I don't know what you're going through, but I know what it's like to be stranded, to feel alone." She turned her gaze back to him, her violet eyes full of something Lucas couldn't quite read. After a few moments, she nodded, as if making a decision. "I owe you my life," she said, her tone more serious now. "I will repay you for this. I am not someone who forgets kindness." Lucas shook his head quickly, feeling uncomfortable with the idea. "No need for repayment. I did what anyone would do." But the woman's eyes softened, a small but genuine smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "Not everyone would have. And now, I owe you." Lucas didn't fully understand what she meant, but he could sense that her words carried weight. Perhaps there was more to this alien than just the rescue. Perhaps she wasn't just a stranger. Maybe there was something bigger at play. He didn't know yet, but he was about to find out. The days after the rescue passed quickly. The alien woman, whom Lucas had learned was named Lyra, had recovered well, thanks to his care. She was a warrior of her people, he discovered, with a strong and resilient spirit despite the calamities she had faced. As she regained her strength, she began to tell Lucas more about herself and the mission she had been on before the storm. Lyra's ship, a sleek vessel built for speed and exploration, had been sent to investigate strange energy signals from the planet. But the storm had hit suddenly, damaging her navigation system and causing her to lose control. In her weakened state, she couldn't have known the violent waves that would throw her into the ocean. It had been luck, or fate, that Lucas had been close enough to find her in time. "I was supposed to be a hero to my people," Lyra said one evening as they sat around a small fire, the warmth of the flames contrasting with the cold night air. "But now, I failed them. I've lost everything. My ship, my mission, and my honor." Lucas watched her, understanding the pain in her voice. He had spent many nights alone, questioning his own failures and the things he had lost in his life. But in that moment, he realized how similar their journeys had been. Both were survivors, forced to face the unknown. "You didn't fail anyone," Lucas said, his voice steady. "You did what you could. You're still here. That means something." Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes narrowing in thought. "You humans, you always think you can fix everything with a kind word." She gave him a small, bitter smile. "It doesn't work like that, you know." Lucas shrugged, his face calm but resolute. "Maybe not, but it's worth trying." Lyra didn't respond at first. She stared into the fire, her thoughts 1,000 miles away. Then, slowly, she spoke again. "You saved my life," she said softly. "And for that, I am grateful. But I'm not someone who can be saved so easily. There are things I must do, things I must repay." Lucas leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" Lyra turned to face him, her expression serious. "I come from a powerful people, Lucas. My race is one of the oldest in the galaxy, and we don't just forget acts of kindness, no matter how small. I owe you, and I will make sure that you receive what you deserve for saving me." Lucas raised an eyebrow. I don't want anything. I just helped because I couldn't leave you to die out there. That's all." Lyra's lips pressed together, her gaze firm. "You misunderstand. It is not about what I think you deserve. It is about what I am bound to do. In my world, this is how things are done. When one's life is saved, the savior is given a reward." Lucas felt a knot form in his stomach. He had never been comfortable with the idea of being owed something, but Lyra was not someone who would simply forget. And from the way she spoke, it seemed that her culture would not let her rest until she repaid him. "All right," Lucas said with a reluctant nod. "But I'm not asking for anything." Lyra gave a small, understanding smile. "That is your choice. But there is more to this than just survival, Lucas, and I intend to show you that." The days following their conversation seemed to pass quickly, but the tension between Lucas and Lyra was palpable. Though Lyra had promised to repay him, Lucas remained uneasy about her words. He hadn't helped her for any reward. He had acted on instinct, as anyone would. But Lyra seemed determined to find a way to repay him, and Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it than just gratitude. One afternoon, as the two of them worked to repair a damaged portion of the shelter, Lyra approached him with a serious look on her face. "Lucas," she began, her voice low, "I've been thinking about what I can do to repay you. I know you won't accept anything material, so I want to offer you something else, something that only my people can give." Lucas wiped the sweat from his brow, pausing as he looked at her. "Lyra, I don't need anything. I'm just trying to get back to my ship, and I'm happy to help you out until we get there." Lyra's expression softened, her violet eyes searching his face as though reading his every thought. "I understand," she said quietly, "but my people's customs are not so easily dismissed. To save a life is to bind two destinies, and I cannot ignore that." Lucas furrowed his brow, trying to understand. "You're talking about your culture, right? I get it, but I still don't want anything. You don't owe me anything." Lyra stood up straighter, her body language firm. "You misunderstand me, Lucas. This isn't about owing. This is about honor. It is a bond that cannot be broken. I am offering you a gift of protection, a gift that will ensure your safety and your future." Lucas's heart skipped a beat. Protection? From what? Lyra hesitated, as though choosing her words carefully. "From anything. From threats you may not even know exist. My people have the ability to sense danger, to see threats before they appear. I can give you this gift, so that you are never unprepared, never vulnerable. No one else would offer such a thing. This is my way of ensuring that you are safe." Lucas was stunned. He had never encountered anything like what Lyra was offering. He didn't fully understand it, but there was no mistaking the sincerity in her voice. She wasn't trying to manipulate him. She was offering him something invaluable. "Lyra," he said slowly, "I didn't ask for anything. I just helped you out. I'm not sure I'm ready to accept something so big." Lyra stepped closer to him, her gaze unwavering. "It is not about being ready, Lucas. It is about what is right. You saved me. I would not feel at peace knowing that I did not fulfill my duty to you." For a long moment, Lucas was silent. He had been alone for so long, surviving on his own, never truly trusting anyone. But there was something about Lyra's words that struck him. She was offering him more than just a gift. She was offering him a chance to feel safe, to trust again. Finally, Lucas nodded. "All right. I'll accept your gift." Lyra smiled, a sense of relief washing over her. "Thank you, Lucas. You will not regret this." The weight of the decision settled on Lucas, but for the first time in a long while, he felt like he wasn't alone in the universe. Whatever the future held, he knew he wasn't facing it alone. Over the next few days, things between Lucas and Lyra felt different. There was an unspoken connection between them now, a bond formed by more than just their shared survival. Lyra had fulfilled her promise, offering Lucas the protection she had spoken of, though it was hard for him to fully understand how it worked. Every time he ventured out of the shelter, he felt a subtle, comforting presence, like something was always watching over him. It was strange, but it gave him a sense of security he hadn't realized he needed. One morning, as Lucas finished repairing a part of their shelter, Lyra approached him with a serious look on her face. "Lucas, I have to leave," she said, her voice firm. Lucas froze, his tools falling from his hands. "Leave? But you just got here. Your ship's still damaged, and we're far from any settlement. Where would you go?" Lyra's eyes darkened. "I cannot stay here forever. I am a warrior. I have a duty to my people. My absence is being noticed. I have to return to them, or I will be branded a traitor." Lucas felt a pang of worry, though he couldn't deny the feeling of loss that stirred within him. The thought of her leaving was sudden and unexpected. "What about the storm? What about your ship?" "I will find a way," Lyra said. "I am strong, and my people will help me. But first, I must go. I am needed." Lucas could see the determination in her eyes. She wasn't just leaving because she had to. It was because she was driven by something bigger, by duty and honor. He understood that. He, too, had a duty to his mission, to find his way home. But still, the thought of losing her was unsettling. "Is there nothing I can do to change your mind?" he asked, his voice softer than he intended. Lyra's expression softened. "You have already done so much for me, Lucas. You gave me life. You gave me the time I needed to recover. There is nothing left for me here." Lucas stood in silence, unsure of what to say. The bond they shared had grown over the past few days. It wasn't just about the rescue anymore. It was something deeper. They had become more than just strangers thrown together by chance. They had become companions. "I'll miss you," Lucas said quietly, his voice filled with emotion. "You've shown me a side of life I never knew existed. I've never felt safe like this before." Lyra stepped closer, her violet eyes meeting his with an intensity that made his heart skip. "You are a good man, Lucas. I will not forget you. And I hope that, no matter where I go, you will always remember that you helped me, and that you made a difference." Lucas nodded. The words lodged in his throat. He wanted to say more, to tell her how much he appreciated her, but the weight of the moment left him speechless. With a final, lingering glance, Lyra turned away, walking toward the horizon. The sea stretched before her, its waves crashing against the shore. But Lucas wasn't alone in that moment. Her gift of protection, the bond they had shared, would stay with him always. Whatever the future held, he knew that they had crossed paths for a reason. And maybe, just maybe, their paths would cross again someday. Weeks passed since Lyra's departure, but Lucas couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness that lingered. Despite his best efforts to stay focused on fixing his ship and completing his mission, he found himself constantly thinking about her, the way she had saved him in more ways than one, and the bond they had formed so quickly. The planet Varlov had become more familiar to him with each passing day. The rugged coastline, the towering cliffs, and the endless sky. Lucas had grown used to its beauty, but something was always missing. Every time he set out to explore the land or work on his ship, he couldn't help but feel like he was searching for something he couldn't find. One evening, as he sat outside the shelter, watching the stars twinkle above, his mind wandered back to Lyra. Had she made it back to her people? Was she safe? The uncertainty gnawed at him. He knew he had done the right thing by helping her, but now he wondered if he had done enough. Had he given her everything she needed to succeed? Suddenly, there was a soft rustling in the distance. Lucas's senses heightened as he stood up, scanning the horizon. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but then he saw something, or someone, moving toward him. His heart skipped a beat as a figure emerged from the shadows, walking toward him with purpose. It was Lyra. Her silvery blue skin glowed softly under the moonlight, and her eyes, those unmistakable violet eyes, locked onto his with a quiet intensity. Lyra. Lucas's voice was filled with surprise and relief. I didn't expect to see you again. Lyra walked toward him, her expression calm but serious. I've returned, Lucas, she said. I have completed my mission, but there is something I must tell you. Lucas felt a wave of emotion wash over him. He had been so consumed with the uncertainty of her safety, and now she was here. But there was something in her tone that made him uneasy. What happened? He asked, his voice tinged with concern. Is everything all right with your people? Lyra hesitated for a moment, her gaze shifting to the ground before meeting his eyes once more. My people have accepted my return, but my mission has changed. I was sent to your planet for one reason, but now, it seems my path is intertwined with yours. Lucas frowned, unsure of what she meant. What do you mean? What path are you talking about? Lyra stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. I owe you much more than just my life, Lucas. I have been sent back to complete a new mission, one that requires me to stay here. I cannot leave you again, not after everything you've done for me. Lucas's heart raced as he processed her words. She wasn't just here to say goodbye. She was here because she had chosen to stay. He wasn't sure what this new mission entailed, but the idea of having her by his side again filled him with a warmth he hadn't expected. But why? You don't owe me anything, Lucas said, still struggling to understand. Lyra smiled, the expression soft but determined. It is not about owing, Lucas. It is about a bond that cannot be broken, a connection that has changed both of our lives. I am here to stay, and together, we will face whatever comes next. Lucas felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He didn't know what the future held, but in that moment, he realized he wasn't alone anymore. Whatever this new mission was, they would face it together, just like they had faced the wilderness and the dangers of the unknown. And for the first time in weeks, Lucas felt like he was home. The days after Lyra's return felt different for Lucas. Their bond, now solidified by time and shared experiences, had become something neither of them could ignore. He had always believed in survival, in doing what was necessary to get by. But now, with Lyra by his side, he realized that life wasn't just about getting by. It was about connecting with others, learning from them, and sharing the journey. Together, they worked to repair the damaged ship, using the resources Lucas had gathered. Lyra's knowledge of technology, though different from his own, complemented his skills perfectly. They exchanged ideas, each learning from the other, growing stronger in their abilities and understanding. One afternoon, as the two of them worked in silence, Lyra broke the stillness with a question that caught Lucas off guard. Do you ever wonder if there's more to your life than just surviving? She asked, her voice calm but thoughtful. Lucas paused, wiping the sweat from his brow as he looked over at her. I don't know. I always thought survival was all I needed. I mean, what else is there when you're stranded alone in a place like this? Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting something deep, something ancient. I understand that feeling. I was sent here to complete a mission, and I thought that was all I was meant to do. But now I know that there's more. There's a reason I'm here with you. I believe our paths crossed for a purpose. Lucas couldn't help but feel a stir of curiosity in his chest. You think there's a bigger reason? I do, Lyra replied with conviction. I think we were meant to learn from each other, to grow. Maybe we can do more than just survive. We can build something better, together. Lucas considered her words carefully. In his mind, survival had always been about doing what was necessary, fixing his ship, getting off the planet, and moving on. But Lyra's perspective was different. She saw something deeper, something that went beyond the practical. She saw the potential to create, to form something lasting out of the ashes of their circumstances. I never thought about it that way, Lucas admitted, his voice soft. But maybe you're right. Maybe there's more to life than just fixing things. Lyra smiled, the expression warm and genuine. I think we've proven that already. We've already made it through so much together. We've learned from each other. We're not just surviving anymore. We're living. Lucas stood there, absorbing her words. The idea of building something together, of creating something beyond survival, felt both exciting and daunting. But it also felt right. He had never imagined his life would take this turn, but with Lyra by his side, he realized that there was more to this journey than he had ever known. They finished the repairs on the ship together, and as the final piece clicked into place, Lucas stepped back, looking at the completed vessel. It was more than just a ship now. It was a symbol of everything they had accomplished together. "Are you ready to go?" Lyra asked, her voice soft, but filled with purpose. Lucas nodded, a smile tugging at his lips. "I'm ready, but I think, wherever we go, we'll make it work. We've already made a home here, and that's what matters." Together, they stood in the glow of the setting sun, the ship behind them, ready to face whatever came next. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were partners, ready to face the unknown with hope and strength. And for the first time, Lucas felt truly ready for whatever the future might hold.